She didn't even bother with lipstick unless she and Jason were going to some really posh bash, like the opera or symphony or ballet. They had similar tastes in music and theater, and they agreed even on politics and religion. They had enough in common to make an uncommon match. But she and Jason were like brother and sister, she reminded herself firmly, even if they weren't related. The rosebush she was pruning looked lopsided, and it dredged on feelings of her own inadequacy. She wondered sometimes why her mother had gone to such pains to make sure Gracie's personal history was kept secret, even from her new stepfather and stepbrother. But she hadn't questioned Cynthia's resolve. Perhaps her mother had been afraid of Myron Pendleton's attitude if he knew the truth about the beautiful woman he'd met behind the counter at the men's suit warehouse. It was easier and safer to lie and tell him that her husband had died in a forward infantry unit in Operation Desert Storm, and that Graciela Marsh was her stepchild, not her real daughter. This elaborate ruse had been concocted to ensure that Cynthia and her daughter could escape from the grinding poverty in which they lived, but the pretense hadn't carried over to the bedroom. Cynthia had sobbed in Gracie's arms the morning of the day she died, confessing that she hadn't been able to let Myron touch her since their marriage. Myron had been furious and hurt, but Cynthia couldn't get past her own history with marriage. She said she couldn't go on living a lie. And later that day, she died in an apparent car accident. Gracie knew it wasn't an accident, but she couldn't say so without explaining why. That wasn't possible. Gracie swept back a loose strand of blonde hair with the back of her hand, and only then noticed that it was covered with dirt. She laughed softly as she imagined what she must look like by now. "For God's sake, don't tell me you're clearing even more ground to plant more flowers," came a deep, amused voice from behind her. "I thought you finished this job the day we went to the sale barn." She turned, looking up into dark eyes under a jutting brow.